Hello, you're watching the Policy Times, world's first policy and development media. Policy Times, since last 4.5 years, has been regularly organizing various kind of discussions with an objective to facilitate policy making and policy implementation. And also, our core objective is to make the world a better place for living and achieving peaceful prosperity. Today, I have a very special guest to discuss. Under this show, we invite various experts from different parts of the world, and we understand their experience, offering, and learnings from them, so that we all together make the world a better place for living. Now, Jamaica is a beautiful Caribbean island nation, somewhere near Cuba in the Caribbean part of the world. It has a lot of beauty to offer to the world. I have Mr. Ainsley Brown, who is the Senior Director of Regulations, Policy Monitoring and Enforcement for the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority. And he will discuss and share a lot of perspectives, what Jamaica has to offer to the world. So, Mr. Brown, welcome. And thank you so much for joining us today. So first, please tell us about yourself and tell us about your country.
Yes, thanks. Thanks for having me. As you said, my name is Ainsley Brown. I'm the Senior Director for Regulations, Policy Monitoring and Enforcement at Jamaica's Special Economic Zone Authority. We are responsible for attracting medium to large scale investments in the country, and we have been targeting certain sectors and certain countries, India being one of them, of course, to come and invest and also trade with Jamaica. Jamaica, as you said, is a small, beautiful island, as you said, in the Caribbean. We're right in the heart of the West Indies. A lot of your listeners and viewers might be aware of the West Indies through cricket, but we're not a country per se. We come together to play cricket as a team, but we are separate countries, individual countries, right, that constitute or make up the Caribbean islands. And Jamaica is literally at the center of that space, that Caribbean space. Cuba is just 90 miles from us, and then of course the U.S. is about 180 miles from Jamaica. We are a beautiful country. We have a lot of good beaches, tourism. We do, a variety of exports and offer a variety of services, including logistics services, manufacturing, distribution, outsourcing. We have a lot of Indian investors that have come and invested in Jamaica in recent times in the outsourcing sector. And there's a strong connection with India. We have had Indians in Jamaica for 176 years. So since 1845, we have had Indians in Jamaica.
Great. So can you tell us, especially for Indian investors, in what ways or what are the ways Indian investors can participate in Jamaica's development and
Yes.
they can invest in Jamaica?
Yes, thanks for that question. We know, for example, that India is strong on pharmaceuticals, and there's always looking for markets, new markets, or to expand existing markets. What Jamaica offers is the opportunity to do several things. One, you can either come and do production and then distribute from Jamaica, because we have easy access to North America, Canada, United States, Central America, Costa Rica, Mexico, Honduras, and so forth, and South America, Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela, and so forth, right? So you can do that production. You can also do postponement, which is basically warehousing and distribution. So product manufactured in India, sent to Jamaica, held in one of our special economic zones, which provided it remains in the zone, it's in there duty free. The other option is to do outsourcing, where a collaboration could be formed with a local Jamaican manufacturer, whereby it can be that manufacturer in Jamaica could be given contract manufacturing duties to manufacture on behalf of an Indian brand, and then it is distributed to the rest of the Americas. And I should say that, you know, the Caribbean islands, even though we have a small populations, because we attract so much tourism, we have multiples of that. So the market isn't just the local folks that live in the islands, but also the visitors that come to the islands.
Now, thank you so much, Mr. Brown. Now, when any investor invests in any particular country, the first thing they see, what are the kind of incentives that you provide? Incentives in the forms of finance or, you know, non-financial benefits that you offer to the business. There are a lot of service-oriented industries, for example, tech, whether it is edutech, health tech, or media tech companies are coming up, whether cryptocurrencies companies are coming up or others. So are you focusing on service-based more or manufacturing? So what kind of offerings you have for the future of sunshine industries?
Okay, good question. We have at the Special Economic Zone Authority, we have what's called a negative list. So we have a list of industries that you can't get the fiscal benefits. However, everything else is welcomed. So it's a very small list, largely consisting of industries that already have incentives that are separate and apart. For example, tourism, they have their own incentives. Mining has its own incentives. That's an example of two industries that are on the negative list. So for tech, they're not on the negative list. For pharmaceuticals, they're not on the negative list, but they're on our priority list that we are targeting for investments. Now, what exactly are the investments that the Special Economic Zone is offering in Jamaica? Well, firstly, we have zero corporate income tax for developers. So if you want to build out a cluster of pharmaceutical for pharmaceutical industries, the developer would get zero corporate income tax for the life of the project, up to 50 years. We have to negotiate how long that the project will last, but it can be up to 50 years. For occupants that occupy that development, they get 12.5% corporate income tax. In addition, both the developer and the occupant get zero duties on any imported equipment and on raw materials. The 12.5 also can be reduced to 7.75 with the addition of certain tax credits when applied.
Excellent. So thank you. Thank you so much for briefing that. Now, from especially for India, what do you think the kind of cultural and economic ties that we can explore? Yeah,
definitely in our food, because we have borrowed several things from India in relation to food. Curries, for example, is a staple in Jamaica, to the point where we have actually modified it and made it our own. There are Indians living in Jamaica. There's a strong Indian community. There are different festivals that we celebrate that are of Indian origin, but we think of them as Jamaican, but they're really been borrowed from our Indian friends. So these sorts of things can bring people together, you know, sitting around a table, breaking bread, you know, sitting and talking and learning from each other. In fact, there are even, you know, Jamaica, we speak English, but there's a second language that we have called Patois. And there are Hindi words that have been borrowed and put in. So for example, we have a word for crayfish, which is called janga, but it's from Hindi, which is, and forgive me if I don't pronounce this correctly, I think it's Jenga. So there are those links. So we just need to continue to foster and build on those links.
Excellent. Excellent. So any final message for Indian audience, Indian people and Indian investors?
Yes, Jamaica, come to Jamaica. It's a safe and secure location for your investment. We're ready and willing to welcome you, particularly in the special economic zone. We also want to extend an invitation for next year, June 13th to 17th. We are hosting the World Free Zone's annual international conference and exhibition under the theme Zones, your partner for resilience, sustainability, and prosperity. So we'll definitely welcome all Indian investors that want to participate in that exhibition.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. So we had Mr. Brown sharing his experience and ideas about how India can participate in Jamaica's economic prosperity, especially through the special economic zone they have come up with. Beautiful country, very highly strategically located in the Caribbean sea area, very in a shorter distance with United States and many other powerful countries of the world. So do stay tuned, keep watching the Policy Times.